There will be an opportunity for you to pledge your commitment to kindness, and we'll give you some more information on that in the chat. We have also got some thank you cards which you can download from our website, and they're designed for you to be able to thank those that you want to, either at home or at work, just to show your recognition whilst we're keeping this kindness vibe going. And at the end of the session, we'll tell you more about how you can provide us with some feedback on the session. We want to be running this festival every year, and so your feedback really, really does matter. You can help shape and inform future programmes. And if you do complete the evaluation form, then you will be entered into a prize draw, and there's some exciting prizes. So just wanted to flag that right at the beginning. So before we actually get started in the session, just keeping this kindness theme going, we've got a very brief animation to share with you. Mariam, over to you.
Kindness is about giving without thought of receipt. It's based on consideration of the understanding and the needs of others without thought for self-gain. Kindness is important because it creates happiness, both in ourselves and in others. And kindness makes us all feel better about ourselves and others. I'm reminded of a letter sent by a lady to a social care worker that I was copied into, thanking her for the support she'd given in helping her husband of 40 years move into residential care. And the lady didn't have to write the letter. And the reason she wrote the letter was because of the kindness shown to her by the social care worker. And the social care worker was just doing her job, but it was the way that she did the job. It was the way that she acted with kindness to this lady who was in pain and anguish. And I think it's an example of how kindness begets kindness. So the act of the social worker in being kind to the lady in the way that she supported the lady was then responded to by an act of kindness by somebody who was going through probably one of the most troubled times of their lives.
Fantastic, some real clear messaging around kindness. There is a full video, full animation, which is about 10 minutes long, and in the chat we will share with you the link so that you can actually access this. Anyway, enjoy the session. It gives me pleasure to hand over to Bryony. Bryony, over to you.
Thank you, Bina. Just share my slides quickly. So good afternoon, everyone. As Bina said, my name is Bryony Cornish. I'm a Sports Development Officer at Active Together. For those of you that might not have come across Active Together before, we're one of 43 active partnerships across England. Active Partnerships was set up by Sport England to be the local delivery system for sport and physical activity at a community-based level. You may have heard of us before as Leicestershire and Rutland Sport. We are undergoing a current rebrand over to Active Together, so you might see slight changes in our messaging or in our branding as we progress through this. It's really exciting. Our core team, there's about 26, 27 of us. We're hosted by Leicestershire County Council in the public health team, but we're based over at Sport Park at Loughborough University. Our main remit is around sport, physical activity, health and wellbeing across the three areas of Leicestershire, Leicester and Rutland. We deliver programmes from early years, 0 to 5s, right up until older adults, delivering adapted activities for those in care homes. So right across the life course, all abilities, supporting people to lead more active lives. A lot of our funding comes through Sport England lottery grants and by local and national partners, and predominantly part funded by Leicestershire County Council Public Health Department. So just a little bit of background about us so that you know who we are, what we do, and hopefully by the end of this session you'll know about a few of the programmes that you'd be able to get involved in. So just a little overview of today's session. We'll be with you for about sort of half an hour, 45 minutes. We're going to look at how much physical activity we should be doing as adults, why physical activity is important, overcoming some sort of barriers and giving you some top tips as to how you can sort of fit more activity into your life. Being active in your local area, and we've got lots of local opportunities for you to get involved. And as the workshop title says, it's all about finding a way to get active that works for you. It's not a one size fits all. And hopefully by the end of the workshop, you'll have learned sort of that physical activity isn't just going to the gym. There's a whole load of different ways that you can be active. It doesn't have to be scary. It can be really easy just to fit those little bite-sized bits of activity into your day. And then finally, I'll just end on a programme that's available for you to help share the messages that you'll hear today. So supporting those that you perhaps work with to be more active, so that we can sort of spread the message further across our area. So kicking things off, how much physical activity is good for health? Well, these are the Chief Medical Officer guidelines. Up until this year, not many of us know who the CMO was, but I think now after the last couple of years that we've had, he sort of sits there in the forefront of our mind. But this is what his guidance is around physical activity. So adults should aim to build up to, and that's sort of the key message here, a total of 150 minutes of moderate activity per week. So if you're doing no activity at the moment, don't need to try and aim for 150 minutes. It's all about building that up slowly. So you could start with 10 minutes a week, 20 minutes the next week, but 150 minutes is sort of the gold standard mark for how much physical activity you should be doing. Now that's thinking about your aerobic activity, and we'll go into a little bit next about sort of what counts as that. But the most important thing out of these guidelines is thinking about those muscle strengthening activities that you do, and it recommended that you do those on 2 days a week. Now that could be lifting weights in the gym, but it could also just be lifting tins of beans in the kitchen, and you can use whatever you can to do those sort of muscle strengthening activities. But that's really important for sort of as we get older in terms of preventing falls, keeping our muscles strong, our bones healthy. And then the final main bit of guidance is around breaking up your sitting time. So we're probably all guilty for it right now. Most of us are probably sitting down, but it's just thinking about how you can have those small breaks for movement. And it literally is every minute counts. So every minute that we can be moving, it adds benefits to our health overall. So what counts? Well, anything that increases your breathing and heart rate is counted as moderate intensity activity. And we talk about something called the talk test as being a good way of understanding what intensity you're working at. So if you can talk, but you wouldn't be able to sing a song, we would say that you're exercising at a moderate intensity. So that might be light swimming, jogging, a walk, things like that, where you're not really out of breath. You would still be able to carry a conversation. If you would struggle to sing without gasping for breath, then we count that as vigorous intensity. So that might be fast cycling, a game of tennis, those sort of things that really get your heart and your blood pumping. So we're thinking about not just your traditional gym, sports clubs, exercise classes. We're thinking about the activity you can build into your daily life. So even in that light intensity brown box on the right hand side, we're looking at things like cleaning, carrying rubbish, carrying your shopping in, light yoga. All of these activities are still activity, even if they're not at this vigorous, very vigorous intensity. Similarly, with moderate intensity, we're thinking walking, cycling, going up steps, like jogging, vigorous again, sort of running, swimming, dancing, and then very vigorous, whether that be sprinting, weightlifting, those sort of things that really get your heart going. There's things that you can fit in at work, at home, with your family, and as I said, it doesn't have to just be those traditional sports that we think of straight away once we think about how we can get active. So I've got a little video next. This is from Greater Manchester. So up in Greater Manchester, there is the equivalent of us as an active partnership. And this is just a little video that they created sort of as we first went into the first lockdown around how we can fit more activity into our day, especially now that we're working from home. So I'll just play this for a couple of minutes. Okay, so just a simple message there around it only has to be small bursts of activity that count. You don't have to think about going for an hour-long run. It is just thinking about those small bites of activity that you can fit in, whether you're working at home, whether you're in the office. It's just thinking about those little bite-sized bits of activity. So knowing what I've just showed you, the video, and sort of talking about the talk test and the activities, what are some ways you think you could try to fit more activity into your day? And if you share them in the chat box, it might give some of the others in the meeting a couple of ideas as well. So I'll just give you a couple of minutes to put some ideas in if you've got any. Or feel free to shout them out if you've got any. You can turn your microphone off just to give us some ideas. No worries if not.
I was just going to say, I just today bought some resistance bands to try and use, because I do go on 2 dog walks a day, or I try to, like 45-minute walks. So I know I'm doing enough like aerobic exercise, but I don't do any strength, and I know I need to start doing that. So yeah, I'm going to try and incorporate them. Hopefully.
Yeah, that's such a good idea. Resistance bands are a really cheap way of getting some strength-based activity in, and you can get them off Amazon for a couple of quid, and you can keep them on your desk as a little reminder. So yeah, it's a really good idea. Thank you. There's a few more ideas in the chat. So a couple of people saying walk around the block at lunchtime, active 10. I'll talk about active 10 later on. That's a good tip, using the upstairs toilet instead of the downstairs one, and that works at home and in the office. I always try and use the further toilets away at work, and things like parking your car further away in the car park, whether you're going to the supermarket or whether you're going to work, just so you add that little bit of activity in during your day. So all great ideas, thank you. So another question for you, what are the benefits of being active? So if you're active already, just share in the chat box or turn your microphone off what you think is good about being active, and that might be from previous experience, or if you're already active, what sort of feelings do you get from being active?
I notice a real difference when I'm not. Like over the weekend, I didn't really go out the house, and I just felt like, I don't really know the word to describe it, but you know when you just feel grey and like, like that was how I felt.
Yeah.
So I think honestly, I notice it more mentally than I do physically if I don't exercise. I don't know if it's the exercise or just going outside, but it's probably a combination of both, really.
Yeah, no, definitely a bit of both, and especially at the moment where we've got the dark mornings, dark evenings, just getting outside while there's a bit of daylight out can be really, really helpful for both our mental and our physical health. So brilliant, thank you for sharing that. So I'll just give you some ideas, and this might encourage you to sort of think about some of the activity you're doing and, you know, some benefits that you might gain from it. As Aaron just said, it can improve our mood. It can just make us feel better in general. And they talk about things like the runner's high. And it's right, exercise does release endorphins and makes us feel better. And it's about finding an activity that will make you feel better. Don't try and do an activity that you know you don't like, because it's going to probably have the opposite effect. But activity is something that's really individual to us. Find something that you really enjoy, and it can make you feel better on the whole. It can improve our confidence and self-esteem, and that might be to do with our body image, but also just feeling like we're good at something. And again, that doesn't have to be something really complicated. It can just be, you know, adding that bit of routine into your life and feeling like you're good at something, and that something's part of who you are. That can really improve our self-esteem. It can help our sleep. You might be an early riser, you might be a night owl, but whatever time of day you exercise, there is that correlation between being active and having better sleep quality. And moving on from that, bit of improved quality of life. People that are active are generally more happier with their life in general. And again, that doesn't matter what sort of activity they are doing, but as an active person, your quality of life is likely to be better. For some, it really broadens social networks. So whether that's you joining a walking group, going to the gym, joining sports clubs for those that think that if that's right for you, it can be a great way to meet new people, make new friends. And for those that have been involved in activity for their whole life, sometimes those friends stick with you for ages, and they're some of the closest friends that you make. But at work, it can be a great way to meet new colleagues, to find out what people enjoy, what their hobbies are, and it's just another way to socialise with your colleagues outside of the work environment. It helps to maintain a healthy weight, as we probably all know, and it can reduce your risk of chronic health conditions and falls later in life. So as I mentioned, those strength-based activities are really important for keeping our bones and muscles healthy, and can reduce things such as risk of heart attack, diabetes later in life as we get older. So one more question for you. What tips do you have to help others get active? And this is just another way of I'm going to share some of my own top tips, but sometimes what works for one might not work for another, but also someone might be looking for that key tip that they need to encourage them to be active. So has anything worked for you in particular? And if so, please feel free to share.
Honestly, getting a dog, because it actually holds me accountable to do it. Like if I really can't be bothered, I think, oh well, she needs to go, like she needs to go out, so it forces you to do it. And those are the days where you kind of need to do it the most, I think, when you feel like you just can't be bothered and you're too tired, and if it was just yourself, you would like skip out on it maybe. So that has helped me personally, because I struggle with like consistency, I think.
Yeah, 100%. And there is actually research that says that people with dogs are more likely to be active because of that very reason. So it just gives you that accountability. And even if it's not via a dog, sometimes accountability through friends, through joining a club or a social group can just give you that motivation to make sure you keep going. That's really good. Thank you. So I've got a few top tips here. Hopefully these might help some of you. So we always talk about starting slowly. So I'm sure you've probably heard of SMART goals, but just think about those achievable targets that you can reach for, especially if you're just starting out. So as I talked about, that 150-minute goal can seem like a way off if you're not very active at the moment, but don't set that goal too high. Set yourself a small achievable goal that's realistic. Set yourself a time scale and start working towards that, and you will really start to see it every minute you add on. You'll start to see more benefit from it. And I've mentioned this a few times already, but really start with activities you enjoy. We don't want to force you into something that you're not going to enjoy because you won't stick at it. So find something you enjoy, find somewhere where you like to do it with people that you enjoy being with, and you're more likely to stick at it and really, really enjoy it. As I've talked about, find ways to get bursts of activity into your day, so it doesn't have to be setting aside an hour, 2 hours to be exercising. You can just fit those small bursts of activity throughout your day, and they will all add up to towards your activity total. So don't feel like just because you're busy, you don't have enough time. Just think about those small changes that you can make. Be active with others, so encourage your friends, family, colleagues to join you. As I said, that can be really good for motivation, accountability, but also just makes it more fun to be active with other people. Some is good, but more is even better. So as I've hit home lots already, build it up slowly. The more you do, the more benefits you'll gain, but actually the biggest benefit we see is helping those from doing no activity to just doing a little bit. So even the more you can do, the better, really, but some is really good. And it's never too late. So don't think that just because perhaps you've not been active for a while or you've got out of the habit of it, It's not too late to start, and you'll start feeling better from the minute you start being more active. So make a start today if you can. So I've pulled together a few things that might help you, because you might have all the information you need now about how much activity you should be doing, how it's going to make you feel, the benefits that it has. But actually, where do you go? Where do you start? What's your next step? So we wanted to pull out some of those things that can help you. We've got a few resources available on our website that can just help you to start making a plan. So we've got a daily activity diary, which can help you to sort of block out that activity amongst your work and your family commitments and other hobbies that you might have. You can just start to schedule in those short movement breaks and dedicated time for exercise. And then we've also got a couple of leaflets around being active at work. So just reiterating some of the tips that I've shared today, but specifically around how you can be active at work. So I'll just copy and paste those links into the chat box. And then you can head back to download them at the end of today's session. We've then got our Get Active search engine. So if you're completely lost, I would recommend heading to our website down in the bottom right-hand corner. But our Get Active search engine is a good starting point for finding local parks, local open spaces, community groups, walking groups, and activity sessions that are taking place near you. And you can put in how far you're willing to travel, the type of activity you're looking for, and a list of organisations and sessions will come up. So it'll give you a bit of an inspiration. If you don't know what you're looking for, just have a look, see what's out there. A lot of sessions do taster sessions, so you can go along, see what you like about it, and then decide if it's something you'd like to do long term. And I've just noticed the comment around you've just done 10 squats, so that's brilliant. Thank you for sharing that. We'll see how many more of you can manage 10 squats in the rest of the session. Just pop it in if you can do that. Thank you. We've then got walking and running and cycling programs. So walking, running and cycling are obviously one of the easiest ways that you can get exercise. They're very cheap. You only need a good pair of trainers, a bike if you're going to be cycling. But other than that, it can take place from your doorstep. You don't have to travel anywhere to do it. You could do it on your own if you would prefer to exercise on your own. And actually, it's a great way to sort of get out in our local community and find new places to be active in, but also just to enjoy our surroundings. So we've got our Walk Together and our Run Together programs. Physical Activity Initiative offering weekly programs of free and accessible running and walking groups. A lot of the run groups are beginner friendly, so they often start with the Couch to 5K program. So I'm sure some of you have heard about that. So you build up together doing that program over 10 weeks. You've got a run leader who's there to sort of motivate you as you go along. And similar things with cycling. So there's the Breeze programme, which is solely for women, but also the British Cycling Let's Ride programme. You can just sign up, register on the British Cycling website, and then sign up for a ride, and someone will be leading that ride for you. So you don't have to think about where you're going, whether you're going to get lost. There's someone there if you're worried about your bike and whether getting a puncture. There'll be someone there that can help you. And it's just that good way to get started if you do need that sort of initial support from others. A few of you have picked up that the Choose How You Move logo is on there as well. They're based across Leicestershire and Leicester. They're all about supporting people to make active travel choices to work, so and to school, to the shops, just swapping that commute for a more active one. So they have loads of advice on local cycle hire, cycle route maps, and they also run an e-bike scheme where businesses can loan e-bikes for a short amount of time. So definitely one to look into if you're looking at sort of how you can be more active as you return to the office. Parkrun as well. I'm sure lots of you have heard of Parkrun, but they're just other free initiatives that you can get involved in if you just need that little bit of motivation to start. Parkrun is a brilliant community. There's so many people that go to them, and they're all really friendly, beginner friendly. Even if you're walking, you're not going to be the last one to cross the finish line. So get involved and try and find one of those programs that works for you. You've then got your local sport and health team. So in each of the district councils, there's a sport and health team. They have local information and opportunities around those sort of more localised programmes within the districts. That all of their information is sort of collated on our website, so you can go ahead and find out a bit more about them if you're looking for something that's sort of specifically in your area and a little bit more targeted. This just building on sort of the benefit of being outdoors and the open spaces. It was probably about May time last year, as the first lockdown was starting to ease, we launched the My Way campaign, and this was all about helping people to find local parks, open spaces right on their doorstep and giving them ideas as to how they could be active while they were there. So as a result of this, we've built our Parks and Open Spaces search engine to help you find sort of places around you that are great for being active in. So another way just to find places that you might not have been to before that might be right on your doorstep and don't even know about them. As I said, great ways to walk the dog, go for a walk with your friends, cycling, all those sort of places that are great for being active. And then I could talk all day about some of our projects and programmes, but here's just a bit of a flavour of them. We support some of the national campaigns, so some of you might have heard about Join the Movement, the Active 10, like somebody's already mentioned in the chat. Just giving you that inspiration for ways to be active. We Are Undefeatable is all about supporting those with long-term health conditions, and again giving you those ideas as to how you can be active despite your health condition. We've then got targeted programmes such as the Daily Boost, which is all about helping school children to get boosts of activity into their day, very similar to the Daily Mile, if you've heard of that before. Twilight Games, I mentioned at the very beginning, all about adapted activities for residents in care homes. And the This Girl Can campaign, which I'm hoping most of you have heard of, which is all around inspiring women to be more active. And we deliver a big flagship event in March for This Girl Can. And last year we did sort of a month-long activity, virtual activity programme. So lots for you to get involved in with those as well. But it's not all just about being active yourself. There are other ways to be involved to support the physical activity sector, but also get active at the same time as well. So we've recently recruited for our first phase of Active Together champions. So if you do feel like you've got something to inspire others with, to help them to be more active, and you'll be relatable, and you've got a good story to tell, then do get involved in our Active Together Champions programme. We're always recruiting and looking for more to be involved in the programme, so just get in touch for that one. I'm keeping an eye on your squat progress. We're doing well. But also volunteering as well. So volunteering can be a way to get active, whether that be marshalling at park runs, coaching for your children's sports clubs, becoming a walk leader. They can be great ways to get active yourself, but also help the local community and just help those programs stay sustainable. So we've got a whole list of volunteering opportunities on our website for you to sign up to if you're interested. And then sort of finally, we've got, in terms of sharing the message, so all the things we've talked about today, I know a lot of you do work in the health and social care sector. So I don't know if you know, but 1 in 4 patients would be more active if advised by a GP on nurse, but actually 72% of GPs don't speak about the physical activity benefits. So we're supporting Sport England with their Moving Healthcare Professionals programme. This is free online training for professionals in primary and secondary care. It helps to increase their knowledge and confidence to talk to patients about physical activity. And it's delivered by a PHE trained peer facilitator, so another healthcare professional that's been trained up to deliver this training. It can be delivered at a time to suit local needs, whether that be in protected learning time, and all we need is 12 participants. So if you've liked what you've heard today and you'd like to learn a little bit more about physical activity and about how you can help others, just drop me a message and we can look at setting up some training for you and your colleagues. So I thought I'd round up the session with a little bit of a challenge for you. I've talked about our activity tracker briefly, but we've got an online activity tracker on our website. It links to Strava, Fitbit, Google Fit. So if you've already got trackers like that, you can link it up and it will automatically transfer your data over. Or if you don't have an activity tracker, but you'd like to start sort of logging your activity, then you can manually add it as well. So what I'd encourage you to do is head over to theactivetogether.org/tracker, create a profile and start logging your activity. And if you do log your activity this week, take a screenshot, tag it on Twitter with our organisation, so Active LLR. You can put in the hashtag for the festival as well, and we'll send you a water bottle. So just a bit of inspiration, see if you can try and get a bit more active this week, even if it's 10-20 minutes. Just send us a screenshot to know that we've done it, you've done it, and we'll send you a water bottle out. Similarly, we do run some bespoke workplace challenges for those of you in UHL. You may have been involved in the STEP challenge a couple of months ago. We've got a few of those planned and coming up. If you're interested in one for your team or your department, just let us know and we can talk to you about setting one of those up. So there's just a reminder of our website. All of the things I've talked about today will be on there, so you can look for information, and then my details if you wanted to have a chat specifically to me around anything I've talked about. But if there's no questions, I'll finish it there, Bina.
Fantastic, thank you. Fantastic, thank you very much, Bryony. That was a very informative session, and I must admit, I learned so much on that as well. So I'm going to go and download the tracker. I have to be honest, Maria, I haven't gone and done any squats, but you have inspired me. So I will do by the end of the day. We just wanted to, those colleagues that have actually joined us, we were going to do a bit of a tweet to share on Twitter just to kind of promote the festival. And if colleagues don't mind appearing in a photo, could you put your cameras on? I'm hoping Maria is going to be on the photo